I'm trying to figure out why they didn't make these persons pay these fines over by the administrator's office. I don't understand how this is happening. Why is this happening? Why is this system not being, these fundings not being done, handled properly? And I don't believe, this is my personal view, I don't believe that the funds should be paid to the police station at all, under no circumstances. It should be paid to the administrators. And if it's paid to the police station, it should be paid in a way that where they provide a government receipt to those persons who are paying the fines, and they turn that money over to the administrator's office for proper accounting. And if there's any disbursements to be handled, it should be handled from the administrator's office and not the police station. So how in the hell? I asked the question. They said, well, the court is above us. I understand that the court is above them, but right is still right is right and wrong is wrong. And I think that there are particular procedures in place to govern how funds are handled that are ordered, paid by the government to ensure that there's proper accountability. When you pay child support, you don't pay it directly to the individual. You don't pay it to the police station. You pay it to the administrator's office. When you pay any other order, you don't pay it directly to the individual. You pay it to the administrator's office, and they disburse that money. So how in the hell the police and the Lucha collecting money on behalf of the court? Please explain that to me. Make that make sense, because I don't understand that. I might be little lacking some knowledge here. I dumb and stupid. I ain't got no sense. Because yeah, you understand? Let me tell you. No, listen, syntax, and even about what goes to the treasury. They have a disbursement account. Let me show you. Syntax, and for everybody who don't know, I used to work in the administrator's office, so I can tell you all what's going on. The disbursement account works like this. So money funds can be taken into the disbursement account. They receive it, and then if it has a particular place to go, that money is disbursed from that account to wherever it goes. But there's a government record that that money was received, and then that money was disbursed. And they can disburse it by in cash form, or they can disburse it in check form. Normally, if the money is not collected by the end of the day, if it's not collected by the end of the day, they deposit that money to the bank. So let's say if it's collected that same day and the person comes to collect it that day, they can pay that person in cash. Or however, once the funds are turned over to them in cash, they can turn that funds over to that person, to the person who's supposed to be the recipient, they can return it over to them in cash. If the person does not come and collect the cash today, then that money is delivered to the bank. Once that's delivered to the bank, they have to now write a check in order for that person to get that money from that disbursement account. But that's how that works. The consolidated account is for money what ain't coming back to you. The government got disbursed that. The disbursement account is an account where you receive the child support, you document that you received it, and the person comes back and collects it later on. The person who's the recipient comes and collects it. So that's what the disbursement account is for. Okay? Don't mind these people. That's why I'm trying to figure out why the police collecting this money.